How you guys doing today? Happy New Year. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas for that time that we had met. Today I want to talk about 7 important things banks hope you don't pay attention to. So stay tuned. My name is Jay, and welcome to Ask a Debt Collector. Now, I've been in the debt collection industry for over 15 years. I've done it all, from skip tracing to collecting to management, and I've owned 2 debt collection agencies. For the past 8 years, I've been the go-to guy for friends and family for questions regarding debt and credit, and now I want to be that person for you. If you have any questions, put them down in the comment section. I promise I'll answer those questions. Let's go. I am so grateful. I have passed the 500 subscribers. I'm looking to get another 500. I think I'm at like 506 or 7 currently right now. I haven't even put a video up for almost 2 weeks just due to the holidays, spending time with family and friends and so forth. But I am back to doing the videos to help you guys out with regards to that. Be sure to like and subscribe. And don't forget none of the goodies down at the bottom. Now, one of the things about banks in general, and the title says 7 important things banks hope you don't pay attention to. The reality is I'm not really sure if they want you to pay attention or not. I don't want to be placing any judgment. But what I will say is a lot of times it's in the small print, and how many people, when you're actually filling out an application, I want you guys to put it down below, actually read the small print. Sometimes I have a problem with doing so, with reading the small print. A lot of times I only read the small print, with credit cards. Once I get it, I'll dissect some of the stuff and so forth. And within doing so, there were 7 things that I've noticed in a lot of these contracts, whether it's a car loan, whether it's a credit card loan, an installment loan, a personal loan, or something like that. There's always tucked away in those contracts 7 things that banks, I believe, hope you don't pay attention to. So let's get to it. Number 1, the first thing that I was saying before, read the fine print. One of the things you have to understand is your grace period, your interest rate, after promotions, and etc. A lot of times, you'll get the 0 APR introductory rate for a year. And then ultimately what happens is a lot of times as a consumer, you just remember that year 0 APR, you don't pay attention. Come to find out, after that introductory rate, your interest rate may go up to 21% or whatever the circumstance is. Pay attention to that so that way, once that introductory rate is done, you understand what happens after that. Because typically a lot of consumers that I get, the 0% introductory rate for the first year, sometimes it even goes up to 18 months. People charge the cards up, maxing them out, and then make the payments because they don't have any interest, so they figure they could just pay back what's on the credit card. And a lot of times you leave a balance on that credit card after the introductory rate, and next thing you know, your monthly payments go up higher, or you end up paying a lot more interest because you have a balance on the card. Be sure to remember, use your credit cards like debit cards. Number 2, which sort of kind of ties into number 1, know the end date of your introductory rate. The reason why, similar to what I said before, is after that time span is done, if you have a balance on your credit cards, for instance, there will be interest added, and that interest can be very high. So if you have a credit card, let's say you get a credit card for $10,000, those are the type of credit card limits that people who go through clear and strategic credit repair services will get right out the bat. And you max the card out to 10 grand, and your thought process is over that year's time span, I'm going to make the payments and pay off the credit card. Make plans to understand that after that introductory rate is when you want to pay that card off before that happens, because typically after the introductory rate, you have interest that's added. Typically that interest rate is not a low interest rate, it'll be a higher interest rate, and you'll end up paying interest. There's nothing worse than paying interest on something that you don't necessarily have to do so if you're responsible with your credit card and you do what you're supposed to do. Number 3, which sort of kind of ties into the whole thing, make sure you understand what deferred interest is. right? Make sure you understand your intro rate. There's a lot of times with cards and so forth, you have deferred interest for a certain amount of time, similar to a 0 APR. Just make sure you read the small print, you understand it, because the same thing, you don't want to end up paying high interest rate on something that you can't really afford, and then you default on the credit card and you're dealing with credit collections and so forth. So make sure you understand that. Number 4, which is a big thing that I always tell people, with the balance transfer cards, those of you who don't know what a balance transfer card is a lot of times out there, they'll have credit cards with a low interest rate, and they'll give you, they'll allow you to do a balance transfer, right? Very important with that balance transfer credit card, if you transfer the balance onto that credit card, a lot of times you got to read the small print with those credit cards. I personally would tell you not to keep that credit card in your wallet, because what can happen is you can get out there and a transaction or something may happen and you grab that credit card, use that credit card. A lot of times with these balance transfer credit cards, they'll charge you a fee every time you slide the card. So it's very important to read the small print with regards to those type of accounts, which are great credit card accounts, depending on the strategy that you use with regards to the guidance of that credit card. But very important you read the small print and make sure you don't keep that credit card in your wallet. I always advise people, take that credit card, have a safe space that you can keep it at home, and you leave it there obviously as you do the balance transfer, and hopefully you pay that card off before, depending on the small print, how long you have with regards to that balance transfer. So make sure you read the small print. Number 5, check the rate of the credit card, right? The regular rate. Ultimately, similar to steps 1 and 2 with regards to 0 APR or whatever the circumstance is, sometimes there are credit cards out there that'll give you an actual introductory rate with regards to the credit card in general, right? And you have to understand to check the regular rate, because what you don't want is a surprise later with regards to whatever loan it is that you're doing. So make sure you check that regular rate so you understand, because if you leave a balance on that credit card, like I've been stating so much in this video, you'll end up paying a lot more. Number 6, do the math with regards to balance transfers and make sure that the numbers make sense. That's across the board with everything. Do the numbers. One of the last things you want to do is, just because it's a new credit card, transfer into another credit card, which is a worse situation that you were in before. I.e. meaning the interest rate is higher. If the interest rate on the balance transfer is higher than what you have currently right now, do the numbers. Sometimes the interest rate can be higher, but depending on, maybe at the time you got an introductory rate on that balance transfer, and then that interest rate is a little higher. But it's so important that you guys do the math on the numbers to understand what is happening and make sure it makes sense. And the only way it makes sense is if you're saving money, right? It's the only way that that makes sense. And number 7, with regards to any type of loan that you get, make sure you look out for other fees. Credit cards, installment loans, and so forth. There's all types of other fees that a lot of us as consumers don't think about. And with that comes a lot of stuff. Like, for instance, if you have a late payment, which is something I do not recommend anyone ever do. If you end up having a late payment, a lot of times they have fees that are tacked on top of the actual amount that you actually owe. And that's how typically the snowball effect happens when you have late payments. They add fees on top of that, on top of what it is that you actually owe, on top of the interest rate that you actually owe, and that can cause a snowball effect. So make sure you pay attention to that. As you are signing up, whether it's an installment loan or a revolving credit card, make sure you understand the ins and outs of that credit card. Make sure you read the small print. Yes, it may take you some time, but there may be something in there that will make you say, you know what, I don't want this card, or you know what, if this happens, I know that these things are going to happen, and you don't have any surprises at the end of the day. So pay attention to all of that. Now, it's the new year. A lot of you guys have New Year's resolutions. I understand. I come up with New Year resolutions all of the time. But for those of you who credit is not in a good stance, one of the first things I would advise you to do as you're trying to change your life and fix everything up is you fix your credit. This world is ran on credit and debt, and understanding the difference of good credit and bad credit can save your life. I know personally, because I've personally taken me and my wife's credit and our credit from the low fives to 750 plus. I fluctuate between about 760 and 800, and I think the highest I've ever had was 805. But nevertheless, it has changed my life understanding credit, and I want to help you do that. That's an investment in yourself. There is a 30-minute free consultation. Give me a call. One of the things about me is I will be completely honest with you. I get people who do these 30-minute consultations, and I realize, you know what, you don't really need credit repair. You may need this and this. Do these few things, and this will help you out. On the flip side, for those of you, if we're fit and it is something that you want to do, I do a 90-day money-back guarantee. So in 90 days, if you don't like the services, you get your money back. So that'll take a little pressure off yourself. I know there are a lot of credit repair agencies out there that aren't doing great business, but with me, you can relax, you can ease with regards to everything that is happening, and we can take you from wherever you're at and get you in the 700 club. And as that progresses and that happens, you'll see the difference with regards to everything. You can walk inside of a car dealership with your chest out and not have to worry about holding your fingers together and hoping that you get approved. Same thing with credit cards, same thing with personal loans. We do it all. All that information is down below. Be sure to click there. I have a lot of free stuff as well, so be sure to click those links. Hopefully that stuff will help you out on your credit journey. Now, if you have any questions about credit or debt, put them down in the comments section. I promise I'll answer those questions. And as I always state, you be great. Happy 2022.